My name is Rachel. I'm 56 years old. I've been many things in my life: daughter, wife, mother. I've worn those titles like layers of clothing, one over the other, warm and protective but sometimes heavy. And for the longest time, I believed that being a woman, truly a woman, in the sense of being desired, being touched, being seen, was a role I had already retired. But on the night our daughter got married, something inside me stirred. Something that had been asleep for years blinked awake. The day began with tears and beauty. Emily looked like a dream in ivory lace. Her face held a softness I hadn't seen since she was a child. The same innocent glow, but matured, no more woman than girl. I watched her glide down the aisle on her father's arm, her bouquet trembling ever so slightly in her hands. Mark, usually composed, had to blink rapidly as they reached the altar. I noticed it. I held my breath and swallowed the lump in my throat. People around us murmured things like, "She's stunning. And you two must be so proud." We were. Of course we were. But inside, I was unraveling thread by thread. A quiet grief gnawed at the edge of the joy. Because I knew what this meant. Emily was leaving. Not in a tragic way. Not in a permanent way. But in the natural, inevitable way that daughters do. And I was happy for her. So happy. But I was also terrified. The reception blurred into music, laughter, champagne, photographs, and toasts. I smiled for every camera, held every hand offered, laughed at every well-worn wedding joke. But when the last guest had gone, and we returned to our now too quiet home, everything was still. Mark stood in the entryway for a long moment before setting down his keys. I could feel something shift in him too, when he turned to me and said, "It's just us now." His voice held a weight I couldn't name. I managed a smile, but my chest felt tight. I went to the kitchen and made us tea. It was automatic, ritualistic. I didn't taste it. When I joined him on the sofa, we sat in silence. The kind of silence that's not awkward, but reverent. Like something sacred was moving between us and neither of us knew what to say. His hand brushed mine. That single gesture broke something open in me. A long closed room flooded with air. That night, I stood in front of the mirror in the bathroom, brushing out my hair. I looked older than I remembered. Maybe it was the overhead light. Or maybe it was just honesty. But I also looked alive. There was color in my cheeks from the wine, sure. But also from the feeling blooming just beneath my skin, an anticipation I hadn't felt in years. I changed into a soft cotton nightgown and walked slowly to our bedroom. Mark was already sitting on the edge of the bed, shirtless, unusually quiet. He didn't turn on the television like he normally did. He didn't reach for the remote. Instead, he just looked at me. There was something in his eyes, something old and new at the same time. A familiarity tinged with awe. Like he was seeing me again. When I slipped into bed beside him, I didn't say anything. Neither did he. But his hand reached across the sheets and found my shoulder. He touched me like he was afraid I'd disappear. And in that moment, I wanted nothing more than to be fully here. Fully touched, fully seen. His mouth met mine slowly, tenderly. The kiss was deep and grounding. There was no fumbling, no urgency. Just intention, confidence, history. He peeled my nightgown down my arms, kissing my shoulder, then my collarbone. When his lips reached the hollow between my breasts, I gasped, not just from sensation, but from memory. I had forgotten how good it felt to be worshipped. His hands traveled my body with reverence. They were not the hands of a young man, but they were steady, strong, and sure. When he moved inside me, it wasn't fast or wild. It was slow, profound. Each movement said, "I remember you. I still want you. You are mine." And I came undone. The next morning, I woke to birdsong and the sunlight spilling through the window. My body ached in the most wonderful way. Mark kissed my forehead before getting out of bed. He told me I looked beautiful. I laughed and pulled the sheets over my face, embarrassed. But I felt beautiful. I felt wanted. I felt alive. Over the next few days, things changed between us. Subtly, at first. A glance held longer. A hand placed on my lower back as I reached for something in the kitchen. A compliment muttered under his breath when I put on earrings. I caught him watching me as I applied lotion after my shower. His gaze lingered, not out of curiosity, but hunger. I began to change too. I started choosing my clothes more deliberately. Not for anyone else, but because it made me feel seen. I bought a new lipstick deeper in color than I would have dared before. I started moisturizing more carefully, applying body cream in slow, circular motions. Rediscovering the curves I had stopped believing were beautiful. I was becoming someone I recognized but hadn't seen in a long time. We made love again, and again, each time different. One night, he took me from behind, his chest pressed to my back, his breath warm against my neck. I moaned softly, astonished at how much my body still responded. How it bloomed under his touch. Another night, I lay above him, moving slowly, watching his face shift with pleasure. He reached up to touch my breast, and I took his hand, guiding it lower. He followed, eager, tender. We were not the same as we had been at 20. We were better, more patient, more attuned, more appreciative of time, of rhythm, of sensation. One afternoon, I found myself crying in the shower. Not from sadness, but from relief, from gratitude, from the sheer, overwhelming joy of being touched. Not just physically but emotionally, spiritually. Emily called me later that week. She asked if I was doing okay, said I sounded different. Happier. I told her I was fine. But the truth was I was blooming. Weeks passed. The passion didn't fade, it deepened. Became richer, more textured. We began to laugh more, talk more, touch more. He would walk past me and slap my butt playfully. I'd feign offense, then pull him into a kiss. One night, while I was reading in bed, he walked in, freshly showered. He said nothing, just climbed in beside me, his skin warm, his scent fresh and clean. I turned off the light, rolled over, and kissed him. And without words, we melted into each other again. I once believed that desire had a deadline. That after a certain age, your body simply shut down that part of itself. But now I know the truth. Desire doesn't die, it only sleeps, and when it wakes hungry. One morning, I looked at myself in the mirror and saw something new in my eyes: softness, strength, radiance. I was not the same woman I had been a month ago. I was something more, and now, every night, as I slide into bed, I do so with anticipation. Not just for sex though, yes, for that, too. But for closeness, for warmth, for shared breath and skin and murmured memories. I no longer flinch from the mirror. I no longer fear the lines or softness. They are proof of love lived, of desire rekindled, of time well spent. To the woman listening who believes her story has already been written, I say this: it hasn't. You are still unfolding. You are still becoming. And there is still so much left to feel. Tonight, as I slip beneath the covers, I feel the familiar dip of the mattress as he joins me. I turn to him, and he reaches for my hand. I take it, not because I need to, but because I want to. Because I can. Because I am. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if this story touched you.